For listening audience, and I believe we are on YouTube this evening. If Melissa would confirm it, that's confirmation, and therefore we are not only on the radio, but also we are on YouTube and Facebook Live. So welcome to our listening audience on this Tuesday night, as usual. Webo, of course, is not here. He might be in Reykjavik, Iceland, I might imagine, far away, and therefore I am here in the hot seat to bring you this evening's program. With me, the gentleman's name is Curtis Byron, and based on what I understood, he's part of the Byron's family, and that Byron family, of course, is pedigree to Nevis. I've known the Byron family for quite some time, but they have held some good positions here in Nevis, and in that regard, I understood that he is one of the offsprings, and therefore, I would imagine that he would have a lot to say to us this evening. And based on that, I must say to our ardent listeners, continue to listen, because there are times when we will bring to you information that you may not be familiar with, and some of which you can learn a great deal. And I think this evening, which would be in two segments, the first segment would be, of course, Mr. Byron's presentation, and of course we will go into details with reference to what his presentation would be. And again, I've mentioned that it is based on what I know, an area that may not be very, very familiar with quite a number of our people within the Federation St. Kitts Nevis. Some, of course, are aware of the information and topic. At the same time, some have a desire to even get into, but also may not have the background and knowledge, and therefore we are here to expound this evening on some of the information as to guide you through to this particular area of maybe finance, business, what we call financial journalism. Of course, these are my terms, but I will let Mr. Byron speak, and he will be able to guide us through his presentation as we go forward. Again, good evening to our ardent listeners, those who are listening throughout St. Kitts, and more particularly the great listeners of Nevis, those who will be listening to us and viewing us on the World Wide Web, YouTube and Facebook, and throughout the Caribbean Basin. Without further ado, I will introduce Mr. Curtis Byron. Mr. Curtis Byron, you are on Vaughan Radio. Please take it to our listening audience.
Good evening, Mr. Stanley, and thank you for that welcome. You mentioned my name is Curtis Byron, but most persons might know me as Ambrose Byron. My name is Curtis Ambrose Byron. And yeah, I am a Nevisian. I was born here in Nevis, but I've lived abroad for several years. And you did not mention specifically the topic, and I guess you wanted me to introduce it, what I will be talking about, and that specifically is trading. So that is what we're going to be expounding on this evening.
Very well. In as much as you've mentioned trading, I must ask you, what is your background with reference to trading, financial journalism? Which company you may have worked for in the past, where you have lived, and to determine whether or not we are on the right page with reference to the information that we are going to disseminate to our people. So, again, if you have not been listening because of a little interruption there, you can give us a little bit of your background, where you have lived, where you have worked, the type of activity you have been engaged in, and to determine as to whether or not we can give justice to the topic.
Okay. Fair enough. That's a fair. Of course, I was born in Nevis several decades ago. I won't say how long. I moved with my family to St. Kitts and then on to the U.S. Virgin Islands. While in St. Thomas, I attended the University of the Virgin Islands, and I obtained a bachelor's degree in mathematics. I did some Well, I worked at the Barclays Bank when it was then Barclays Bank in St. Thomas before I went into university. After my bachelor's, did some graduate work in statistics. I did not complete my master's, but I did some graduate work in statistics, and then I went into the financial services sector, mainly banking. I have been in various banking positions for well over 20 decades. I worked in the Washington, D.C. area. I also returned to St. Thomas and worked at the bank there. When I got married in 1994, I moved to Antigua and continued my banking career in Antigua. I am living in Antigua presently, married with 2 sons. And while in Antigua, of course, there's the offshore banking sector. I had a stint in that area as well. I also got my certification in anti-money laundering about 5 years ago. And presently, at about the same time I got my certification, I set up a small business with my brother-in-law, and we do bookkeeping and accounting for small businesses, and provide financial advice, business plans, things of that nature with respect to small businesses. As you could imagine, there are a lot of persons who have good ideas, but they don't really have the financial acumen to execute those ideas and bring them to proper fruition, financial control, good planning, budgeting, etc. So we provide that service. And like I said, also I have my certification in anti-money laundering. I do not as much work in that as I would like, but I do some work in that area as well. So that is basically my long-term career with respect to my knowledge of financial services. As working in the bank over the years, one of my areas that I spent a good bit of time in is the operational side of the bank, dealing with correspondent banking, foreign exchange, buying and selling of foreign currencies, and that kind of activity in the bank itself.
All right. I also understood that you've had maybe 1 or 2 seminars here in Nevis, and maybe you can tell us as to how that came about and the impetus,
Foreign.
and ultimately
Yes.
what the results were based on your first or second go at bringing people together in terms of your teaching, training, guiding,
Mm-hmm.
investing, as the case might be. And that,
Yes.
of course, will give us some more information about.
Okay. About a year ago, I was introduced to the concept of trading in the financial markets. And of course, with my background in banking and having a fair bit of knowledge of foreign exchange, I looked at it in more detail with respect to trading. Like I said, I had a familiarity with the foreign exchange, buying and selling of foreign currencies. And that was last year. And I just want to go back maybe about 4 years, about 2015. I began to hear a lot about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. So I decided to do some research on it. And I found it very intriguing and realized that this might become the future when it comes to how we use what we call money, our buying and selling. So I continued my research into cryptocurrency. Back then, Bitcoin was the big thing. There were some other cryptocurrencies, but I decided to buy a small amount of Bitcoin and just test the market, do different things to see what would happen. And then, like I said, last year somebody introduced me to trading, mainly trading in the foreign exchange market. And I continued to do my research with cryptocurrency and foreign currency, and I realized that there's some potential in learning how to trade. When I say potential, I mean income earning potential. Once you have learned that particular skill, of trading, there is good potential. So I did some more research, and I myself got in to learning, and also, you know, begin to do some trading. Um, and while I was doing it, you know, you listen to the news and you hear of all the problems that there is with persons finding jobs, finding way to make money and that kind of stuff. So I thought maybe this is something that the Federation can maybe begin to look at with respect to an alternative means of income. Um, you know, we're always talking about foreign investment. You know, there's the tourism industry, we have the CIP, the Citizenship by Investment program. There is the offshore financial services sector. You know, there are all these avenues by which people can earn income. Now, I am not suggesting that any of these is good or bad. I'm just saying there are these things, and sometimes when you listen to people, they might say, well, some of these are kind of drying up, if you will. And, well, what is there? And we always hear about the problems with our young people, which I certainly would not go into in any detail. I believe in offering solutions to challenges that we have, no matter what they are. And the more I looked at trading and learning that particular skill, I say, hey, I think maybe this is something that I should maybe return to the Federation and provide advice on. No, let me just say that I am pretty sure that there are individuals in the Federation who probably are trading as well. We might not know them because they're not really saying anything about it, but I am pretty sure there are one or two individuals who do trade, in, you know, on their own, not really letting anybody know about it. But I came last month and I had a seminar, a presentation on the basic concepts of trading. I am not teaching necessarily how to trade, but, you know, there are educational platforms out there that you can source, plug into, and learn that particular skill. And I really believe, especially because of my financial background, I know that you can earn a living through the means of trading. So like I said, I had a seminar last month, early part of July, and I'm back again to have a second seminar. The first one is going to be tomorrow evening at the Anglican Church Hall. That's on Main Street, St. Paul's Anglican Church, the church hall there, at 7 o'clock tomorrow evening. And I'll be having the same presentation in St. Kitts on Thursday evening at the Methodist Church Hall on Seaton Street in Bastia, and that's at 7 o'clock.
Well, the first one that you have had, how was the attendance? And basically, what was the structure of the presentation? Was it to inform, teach, or to gather a number of people who can become part of your base from which you would launch and ultimately grow into having a network of people whom you could tap into to say that these are people whom you have given some direction with reference to trading, whether it's in stocks, bonds, cryptocurrencies, as the case might be.
Mm-hmm.
So how was that first seminar?
And I like what you said, give direction to. I love that phrase, because let me make it explicitly clear. I just began to learn that skill myself last year. And I think you might know that you certainly can't conquer that particular skill, if that is a correct phrase. And just to say that we are always learning. I mean, anybody who has a profession, they are always learning. But to answer your question, last month I had it at the Red Cross building, and we had about 50 persons who came and listened to what I had to say. A lot of them were very interested. Some would say, no, I can't get into that. And there were one or two who actually signed on and began the process of learning the skill, the particular skill. Yes, I hope that more and more people will become aware of that possibility, because sometimes we in the Caribbean we tend to focus on only what's on our particular island. I mean, yes, there might be some movement between islands, but you know, I live in Antigua, and you know, sometimes there are persons in Antigua who doesn't even know what the capital of Nevis is, you know, things like that. So we don't have much integration between islands with respect to knowledge of you know, a particular island, you know, maybe who is the prime minister, etc., etc. And the point I'm making here that we're very inward looking persons, and we have to realize that the world is becoming a smaller place as we speak. I mean, with the onset of the internet, we have quick access to things all over the world, and the world is fast becoming, some people might say it's already there, becoming a global village. So we have to be knowledgeable about what's happening outside of our islands and learn that there are possibilities other than what we know about. Every day we hear about new things, new technologies. You know, we are quick to get a new iPhone, or you know, whatever phone you get. We're quick to get a new vehicle. That all of that might be good, but there are other ways to earn income other than, you know, your regular job that you go to. Yes, a new business comes in town and everybody is probably clamoring to get a job there. But what about you trying to do something for yourself? No, I'm not saying that there are no persons who are entrepreneurs. Yes, there are, and I take my hats off to them. But sometimes we must look beyond of the traditional approach to earning income. And I believe this is one such way, whereby if we get into the skill, if we learn that particular skill of trading, we will realize that there's a vast potential when it comes to earning income for ourselves.
Well, what would be your target market for people who you would want to give direction to and ultimately get them into learning or acquiring the skill or skills of trading?
Everybody.
Everybody.
Everybody. I mean, I know of teenagers who do this. Teenagers who are still in school. They are quick to learn and absorb things, and they are eager. Obviously, if you're just out of college and, you know, 20, 30, then you're working, but that does not mean that somebody who is 60 or 70 can't learn a new skill. You know, if you are retired, you know, you're 60, 65, just get into that retirement mode, that must not mean that you must rust out. You know, you can reskill and retool and keep that mind active. So to answer your question, it's for anybody and everybody. Now, let me say that trading, it is not easy, right? It is definitely not easy. It requires a lot of discipline, and it is definitely not for everybody. But what I would encourage everyone to do is to at least look at something, look at a presentation, maybe 30 minutes. You know, I mean, of course, I'm promoting my presentation tomorrow, you know, that I think would give a perfect overview with respect to what are the possibilities. Like I said, you will not learn how to trade at the end of tomorrow's evening session by no stretch of the imagination, but at least you'll get an insight into what the basics would be about and whether or not you think you can venture into something such as this.
Well, let me just interject for a short moment. I've been into Wall Street since 1967, and currently I have had the opportunity to teach 2 sessions to the Sixth Form College here in Nevis, and another session of an older group of people. And quite a number of people are really interested in learning the skill of trading. Not only to learn the skill, but there's a desire to make money simply because of what they think and how they think. Trading, of course, is really not an activity for the faint-hearted, and consequently, one has to be, as you have mentioned, very disciplined with reference to his or her little purse or large purse, as the case might be. It's an area that really seemingly is geared toward the richer and the white folk. If you were to check the background of our people in the United States, talking about black people in the United States, a very small percentile amount who are in fact traders on Wall Street or Forex or FTSE, as the case might be. But those who have been successful have learned the skill very well, but there are quite a number of cases that went belly up simply because the great game, which is Wall Street and throughout the world, is again not for the faint-hearted, but for those who truly understand the whole dynamics, the pluses, minuses, pitfalls, as the case might be. And therefore, our society, St. Kitts Nevis, and maybe the wider region, are not yet as sophisticated as we would like them to be, and consequently, they may not be ready to get into this, but at the same time, every journey begins with the first step.
First step, that is correct.
And in this regard, you're coming aboard to more or less break the ice publicly, because I don't remember hearing anybody attempting to get something off the ground as you are attempting to do. And again, I still need to get your business model or your structural model as to what you've got for our people. Because like I've said, quite a number of people have asked me how to get into Wall Street and how to get into trading. And I have given them the avenue. Some have, and I gave them ideas as to what to stay away from, what to do to stay away from the pitfalls. But if you're not very disciplined, taken over by the element of greed,
Yes.
you could wind up in a lot of
Yep.
trouble.
Big time.
So it is an area that I would admonish anyone who would be listening this evening to listen carefully and to make a determination as to whether or not you would want to be part of this activity. Because if you are able to master the skill, you will be able to do great things with reference to your wallet, your career, your lifestyle, and the whole 9 yards. So we will take a break and then we will come back.
City, Nevis, this is the powerhouse of the Eastern Caribbean, Vaughn Radio.
Builders Paradise is offering a large variety of floor and wall tiles at very competitive prices. We've got over 2 million pieces in stock, lots of different styles to choose from. Whether you're renovating or tiling a new house, Builders Paradise has what you need. Oh, and remember, we are open all day Saturday to serve you better. Call them today at 466-4938.
Yes, we are back. And my guest this evening is Curtis Byron. He has a pet name which he's known by Nivigans.
It's not really a pet name.
Or it is your
Yeah,
real name, it's your middle name.
Yes, it's my middle name. Curtis Ambrose Byron.
Ambrose.
I was my parents called me Ambrose growing up. So everybody in Nevis knows me as Ambrose Byron.
Ambrose. All
Yes.
right. All right. Well, of course, he is our guest, and as you recognize that our host, Webo, is, like I said, might be in Reykjavik, Iceland, or some part as a globetrotter this evening. So I'm here. And his more or less specialty seemingly is in foreign exchange. And he's attempting to bring to the fore as to the knowledge and skills in that regard. Now, what I would allow him to do is to make his presentation and his pitch as to how he could influence you with reference to the seminar that he's going to have tomorrow at the St. Paul's Anglican Church, if my memory serves me correctly.
Yes, it is.
And therefore,
The church hall.
I would let him expound upon that, and then I'll come in on the back end with a few comments.
Okay, thank you very
Ambrose.
much. Thank you very much, Mr. Stanley. Now, to go back some, we all know that trading did not begin yesterday. Trading has been happening for thousands of years. And there are various forms of trading, exchange of goods, bartering. Some might remember that name or term, bartering. But trade is when you buy and sell goods and services. And trading is the action of engaging in trade. Now, as the years progressed, the trading and the sophistication increased. You know, there was the advent of technology. And today, you know, we would hear of the stock market, the New York stock market. That is the big thing that we hear about. Of course, other countries have their stock markets. And we hear about that kind of trading. There's trading of stocks, as bonds, commodities, that kind of thing. And I think that is what, Mr. Stanley, you were probably most involved in when you were in New York. Commodities, gold, silver, oil, those things can be traded. Stocks, you know, the companies, we can buy their stocks and sell their stocks and that kind of stuff. Now, the trading which I am focusing on, it's not necessarily the buying and selling of stocks. It's a matter of going into the market in order to make money. I'm not going to get into too much detail because obviously I would like people to come to the presentation tomorrow evening. But my focus will be on learning the skill of trading so that you can trade in the foreign exchange market. The foreign exchange market is very big. Just think of all the trade that goes on throughout the world, countries trading with each other. At the backbone of that is money, because obviously if I'm buying a car from Japan, I have to send money to Japan. We can now purchase cars over the internet, let's say, for example. So when England trades with Canada, the Canadian and the pound sterling are, you know, that's a market for exchange of currency. So as currencies, as countries trade with each other, you have the exchange of the currencies that are involved. And that foreign exchange market, the foreign exchange market today is $3 trillion. Every day, $3 trillion US dollars is exchanged in that market, as compared to the New York Stock Exchange, which is somewhere in the region of $50 billion a day, right? That is the amount of money that is exchanged in hands when trading is taking place. So the New York Stock Exchange and all the other commodities markets and so, it's around 50 billion. And the foreign exchange market, which is obviously more worldwide, $3 trillion a day. So that is the market that you can become involved in once you have learned that particular skill of trading. And you have to learn how to do it. Mr. Stanley would know full well that it's not for the faint of heart. But if you allow yourself to learn the skill properly, your earning potential would be great. The question I'm quite sure some of you are asking, well, how are you going to do it? How is it done? Well, come tomorrow night and hear more.
All right, I know that a certain phrase that had been bandied about with reference to the trading of commodities, bitcoins in particular, and one particular phrase said that there is a community of mistrusted computer operators who manage the portfolio of certain blocks of trades. And the word mistrust tells me that, again, people have to be very, very careful with reference to what they do with their money, what they do with their time, what they do with their activity. And again, based on so many factors, positive, but more so I am geared toward thinking of the negative factors with reference to people who would have gone into and ultimately wound up, if there are not real security measures put in place. I could give you a little story. There was a young fellow around here, and I don't see him anymore, but he used to trade in Forex. And he borrowed people's money, took people's money, and lowered them into his trap. And ultimately, their money vanished, and he seemingly vanished.
Vanished too. Do you know if he actually was doing trading?
Well, I do not know exactly if he had been trading, but he convinced me that he knew the skill. He had the skill.
Okay.
He came to me with the hope that he would be able to lure me into the trap and to part with my money to work with him. But like I've said, I'm a little too old a cat to be fooled by a
To
kitten.
be caught by that.
Yeah, and as a result, he's no longer. He was from Antigua. I do not know where he is right now, but I know that he is on the run simply because people were taken into. Because I'll tell you, there are quite a number of people who, looking at trading, because as you mentioned, in terms of quantification, the dollar amount is the largest trading quantity
Yes.
as compared to any other commodity, because you have countries trading currencies, and they trade currencies in large volume. I mean, you
Yes.
go to the banks and you would see them with the board, and the board says foreign exchange, and you would see exactly what the
Rates are.
rates are and all that. And this, of course, is just in all little Nevis and Syncits as we see it. But when you look at it from a global point of view, sure, it is massive, and it is, of course, as you mentioned, a larger in terms of quantification of money as compared to other commodities. So, again, I would say to you and to those who are attempting to lure our people onto this avenue, I again need to get maybe your business model as to how it is structured. What gets me into your den? What gets me into your parlor?
I don't have a deli or parlor. let me make it clear. Okay? And that little story you had about the gentleman, let me say out front, I certainly will not be taking your money.
Okay.
Okay? I will not be teaching you, but I will be directing you. Remember, you use
Right,
the direction to a platform where you can learn the skill for yourself. I don't want your money. You will handle your own money when you have learned the skill.
Very well. Very, very well.
Okay? I will never. And, you know, those of us in Antigua, there are some of us in Antigua who are doing it. You know, people are always saying, well, I don't have time to learn and that kind of stuff. You want to take my money. No, I don't want your money. you have to learn the skill for yourself. If you have a skill, nobody can take it from you. You know, you're a carpenter, you're a doctor, you know, you have a skill. Nobody can take it from you. You have it for the rest of your life that you can use to make and earn money. So that is what is happening with, you know, what I'm doing. I am opening up people's eyes to the possibility that there is another skill set out there that you can learn, that you don't have to depend on how many tourist boats come here. You don't have to depend on some investor coming to build another hotel. You don't have to depend on somebody coming in to open a call center. I mean, I had to get around to the Brownhill situation as we know it. We can learn something whereby for the rest of our lives we can earn income. As long as human beings are on this earth, there will be trading. Okay? The telephone might go away. The cart and buggy might go away. Other things might go away. But trading will always take place. And as long as trading takes place, there will be a market called the foreign exchange market. And with the technology that exists today, I can show you a trade that I am in right now on my phone. Persons who are on YouTube and Facebook would see that I'm holding up my phone. And I'll go to a trade that I'm in right now. This is the trade. I don't know if the cameras can zoom up to it. But I'm in a trade right now. You can use your phone to monitor the trading that you do. So when it comes to this particular forum or setup as you were, and you're trying to get from me the whole structure of what is going to be happening, I'm not going to go into any detail. Like I said, come tomorrow night and come on Thursday night for those of you who are listening in St. Kitts. But the point is, I will be directing you to how you can learn that skill set. Is there support? Yes, there is tremendous support, because you cannot learn by yourself. You have to have an integration of persons, assistants, etc. So all of that I'll be explaining in more detail, but the bottom line here is anyone can learn that skill set of trading, and by that they can earn income. Now, you can do this part-time, you can do this full-time. It's totally up to you, but you would have to decide how you're going about it. I cannot dictate anything for you. You know what your life situation is, you know what needs that you have financially, what you would like to do. You know, you might want to water or, you know, do something else. You might have a heart for cake mixing or baking or whatever it is. You can go ahead and do that, but you can also learn to trade as well when it comes to earning money. Trading is all about making money. I have no qualms about saying that, right? The skill of trading, when you have acquired it, you can make money. And there is not one person on this earth who is not in need of money. Where are you going to get that money from? Of course, there are various forms. You know, you can find a job, etc. But what about doing something for yourself that doesn't even bother anybody? You can learn that skill, go in your little corner, and make your money. You know, you don't have to go clock in at 8 o'clock. You don't have to make sure an employee comes in, you know, to do whatever work or business that you have. This skill of trading can put you in a different place financially. Is it easy? No. But it can.
But I understand it, and I do agree with you, because people ask me to take their money. I said, no, I am not going to touch anybody's money.
Nope.
I will just show you how to get in, and I show them exactly what happened on Wall Street and how they could use their time to trade themselves.
Yes.
You buy stocks, you sell stocks, you buy bonds, as the case might be, whatever you want to, gold, as the case, whatever commodity you want to buy, you could trade. But I'm not touching anybody's money, simply because nobody's going to call my name.
Nope.
If you lose your own money, that is your problem. I will show you where the pitfalls are and ensure if you are willing to learn, if you're willing to listen, learn, and follow through, you can make money. There are people right now, many of the villa owners who got 2, 3 televisions at Four Seasons, and all they do is they trade.
Yeah, and to follow up, you had mentioned it, and I kind of forgot. You were talking about, the fact that the whole trading setup, it's mostly white people that are involved in it. And this is another thing I would want to bring up with respect to that. Now, quite sure there are people of Caucasian descent listening, and I don't want to sound, racist per se, but that is true. Mostly white people are involved in that. But the grouping that I've been involved with, there are some blacks in America that are involved in the learning process, and it's not just a matter of earning money. Yes, you're earning money, but it's a matter of educating black people to the possibility of earning. Now, I'm going to say something which I'm going to say it. There was this gentleman in Antigua. He was working at a hotel, and he knew that there was some way that he should be able to make money on the internet. And, guests come in, and a lot of guests come in. They're millionaires. So he decided one day to ask one of the guests, well, you're a millionaire. How did you make your millions? Tell me something. Give me a secret. The millionaire hotel guest said to him, there are lots of ways you can make money. There are lots of ways you can make a lot of money. But I'm not going to tell you. When he said that to me, I said, man, you're lying, dude. You're lying. He said, Curtis, as I stand here in front of you, he told me that. And that drove him to find something on the internet where he can make money. And he found trading. And he's a full-time trader today.
And there's so many ways to make money.
Yes, there are lots of ways
If
to
you're
make
not
money.
lazy, you can always
You can make
make
money.
money.
But the point I was making with that is,
Yes.
unfortunately, this is being kept from us, right? But we have the internet today, and what do we do with it? We Google all kind of foolishness. We watch reality TV, Kim Kardashian, and blah, 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 blah. And we consume. We go on Amazon and buy off the whole of Amazon and can't pay for it. But we don't use these things in order to earn an income
And enrich ourselves.
and enrich ourselves, right? We are waiting for some investor to come in with a hotel so that we can go and work for them. Why don't we go and work for ourselves? Yes, there are entrepreneurs in these islands, and I applaud them for their efforts. But as you know, having a business today is very, very difficult, no matter how good your product or service is. So my point in all of this is,
I mean, I don't agree with you in that statement, but go ahead.
my point is that there is potential there, and I think rather than waiting for investors to bring in their money or whatever the case may be, we can go and get the money because the market is there, $3 trillion a day that we can plug into, and we don't have to have a lot of money to start. That is the other thing, right? Long time ago, you used to need to have hundreds of thousands of dollars. It was only for the rich, the banks, and the big investment firms. Because of the internet today, you can start with your 2 cents. Now, I don't mean 2 cents, but $100, $1,000. But you have to learn. And as we say here in the Caribbean, 1-1 fill basket.
Well, in order to have access, you have to have some capital. And that capital gives you access in terms of an account and to build a little platform from which
You can grow your money.
you can grow your money. And a lot of people need to be told, and if they are willing to listen and willing to learn, they can learn and they can earn.
Yes.
Now, I don't see any real difficulty in getting into business. My phrase always is that laziness and poverty, they are inseparable, in my view. Because I went to the Virgin Islands and I, at a very early age, when my boss saw letters coming from Bayesian Company and then Merrill Lynch, and he asked me, well, Edric, where did you learn this? I said, I went to school, meaning I had enough intelligence to understand where the money is being made and how to access it. And if some of us can only understand that and begin to find how to access that platform, they'll be able to earn and earn well. I mean, trading on the one hand is an avenue. It has a certain amount of risk, depending on how it is, that risk is calculated. But I am a multifaceted person, and not only in fuels, food, transportation, trucking, real estate, insurance, business, because I work for a financial insurance and financial services company too.
Okay.
And in that regard, I always wanted to make a little more for myself. And I can show anybody how to do it. There's some pain to it. It's not going to be all easy. But if you listen, learn, and follow through, you can be. And I just made reference to those people down at the villas at Four Seasons. And I'll tell you, those fellas, they put in 2 or 3 hours in the morning.
And that's it for the rest of the day, right?
That's it for the
Yeah.
rest of the day.
Yeah, because and
But at the same time, you have to have a certain amount of firepower or reserved capital. But if you don't have that reserved capital, then there is another approach to investing, particularly in stocks and other commodities, is that you have to have patience
yes.
and devoid yourself of greed. You put it there, you forget it. You forget it. Look for companies that are well established based on their business model, based on how, whatever their
Product or services.
yes. You can find companies in which to invest and for your money to grow. Banks, I keep money in banks just to have flexibility and a certain amount of liquidity. But that's not how I actually operate. When time comes to move that money into another commodity, I move that money into another commodity.
Because the banks are not really paying any interest nowadays.
Well, they're not simply because that is a policy, but the banks are making money. They take your money that you have gotten there as savings beyond the rules of the central bank. They know what to do with the excess.
Well, I'll let you say it. I ain't saying
No, I'm
that.
telling you. I'm telling you. I know what's going on.
I know too, but
Yeah.
I ain't saying
Yeah, but at the same time, like I said, for the average person who wants to make money, they have to begin to understand that discipline is the order of the day. And you have to devoid yourself of greed and to understand that patience. I mean, I waited on Microsoft for 10 years and the stock wouldn't move. Till this guy, I think, Nardelli came in after Steve Ballmer stepped down and the stock took off. But I'm just saying to you, that's just one case where the stock did not move. But there are other stocks that just quadruple.
Yes.
And you just have to know what to look for, how to look for it, and to have the patience to invest in certain things. Real estate is something that you can't lose. You just can't lose unless we have something like what happened in Montserrat.
Volcano, yes.
You can't. You just can't lose.
It always appreciates.
In business, if you're not lazy and you go out to work every day and to ensure that what you're doing is being nurtured, looked after, lazily, in terms of focus, it will grow. And therefore, I have urged so many of our people, get above their laurels, not to be lazy, and to think rich, because poverty is a state of mind.
As a man thinketh,
So easy.
so is he. Yes.
We'll take a break.
Builders Paradise is offering a large variety of floor and wall tiles at very competitive prices. We've got over 2 million pieces in stock, lots of different styles to choose from. Whether you're renovating or tiling a new house, Builders Paradise has what you need. Oh, and remember, we're open all day Saturday to serve you better. Call them today at 466-4938.
Yes, we are back, and we are back with Curtis Ambrose Byron, and he will make his final pitch and presentation, and we will look forward to the other segment of the program. Curtis Ambrose Byron.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Stanley. I want to thank Vaughan Radio for having me in here this evening, saying good night to Webo. And also want to congratulate Vaughan Radio, Webo, and his staff. I think they celebrated 30 years in existence a couple of months back. 31?
Yes.
Okay, a couple of months back. So the Vaughan Radio has really been contributing to the fabric of the Federation, providing information. I could remember sometimes the hurricanes back in the day. Fortunately, Dorian passed us by on the south, so we are thankful for that. But just to say that I'm having a seminar tomorrow evening at the Anglican Church Hall. That's on Main Street, St. Paul's Anglican Church Hall, at 7 o'clock, and in St. Kitts on Thursday at the Methodist Church Hall on Seaton Street at 7 p.m. as well. And I will be speaking on the topic of trading. I obviously will not be getting into a lot of detail, but I'll be showing you the possibilities. And I'm so thankful that Mr. Stanley, I did have a conversation with him last month. I would have listened to Vaughan, not every Tuesday night, of course, but I would know of Mr. Stanley. But I never really knew that that was what he did when he lived abroad. So I'm grateful that he was here to support and back up, some of the points that I've been making. The last time before the break, he was mentioning about investing, whereby you buy stocks, buy real estate, and obviously that is also a way to make money. But what I am focusing on is trading, and that can also make you money. So I encourage everyone, if you can't come yourself, send someone who is looking for something to do. I mentioned Brownhill Communications earlier. I just want to mention it again. I know that there are several persons who are wondering what are they going to do when Brownhill Communications closes. If you work at Brownhill Communications, you might want to come tomorrow night and listen to something. If you know of someone who works at Brownhill, you can tell them about it. Come tomorrow night. It's not for everybody, but at least come and see and hear the possibilities of trading. Let me give out my phone number. Area code is 268. I live in Antigua. 268-721-0111. You can contact me via WhatsApp. 268-721-0111. You can contact me via WhatsApp. And I would like to thank Vaughan Radio and Mr. Stanley once again for having me on and letting me begin the process of exposing the Federation to a possibility of earning income by a method that it's not traditional. Everything else, we getting new this and new that. Let's find a way, a new way to make money. Come and attend my seminar tomorrow evening at the Anglican Church Hall, 7 p.m. and at the Methodist Church Hall, 7 p.m. in Bastille on Thursday evening. Thank you very much again, and good night.
Thank you. We'll be back to take a break. We'll get into our second segment of the program.
Builders Paradise is offering a large variety of floor and wall tiles at very competitive prices. We've got over 2 million pieces in stock, lots of different styles to choose from. Whether you're renovating or tiling a new house, Builders Paradise has what you need. Oh, and remember, we're open all day Saturday to serve you better. Call them today at 466-4938.
Yes, we are back. This is our second segment of the program, the Let's Talk program. And the first we had with Curtis Ambrose Byron regarding investing, trading. Now we have Ras Iroy, and he is here to make a presentation. And of course, by my speaking would indicate clearly that our great host, Everett Weber Herbert, is somewhere in Reykjavik, Iceland, and therefore I am in the hot seat this evening. So therefore I must say to Ras Iroy, welcome for the millionth time to the mics of Vaughan Radio. And of course, Ras Aya as a companion. So therefore, gentlemen, speak to the listeners, ardent listeners of One Radio.
Patona greetings, give thanks for the invitation and pleasant joy to the people who are listening on Van Radio and to the radio market of our people who have seen on the internet and worldwide. I know the Ras Aya from the Rastafari being the Tiakosiado, and I'm here as part of the support with I Virgin Ras Iwai, who is the chairman of the OIU, which is the Organization of Rastafari Unity, and we are here to make some explanation towards of the herb, but before we could go, we'd like to have the presence of the Almighty in our midst as a part of our dialogue here with our great host. So, as they say, he's in the hot seat, so I hope he can handle the fire while it is blazing, you know. A blessed love. Oh, there I am, there I am. How excellent is thy name in all the earth. What set thy glory above the heaven? Out of the mouth of babe and suckle the water is string. Because the enemy, the mighty state enemy and their vengeance, when they consider hell no Father, the works of thy fingers, the moon and stars of thy doing. What is man that thou art mindful of him? And the son of man that thou visited him? Thou made lay low than the angels, and crown thee glory and honor. Thou makes thee have the men of the works of thy hand, thou put all things on thy feet, all sheep and oxen, beasts of the field, fowl of the air, and fishes of the sea, and whatsoever parts of the sea thereof. O Haile, Selassie, King Rastafari, how excellent is thy name in all the earth. Haile, Selassie, King Rastafari, Empress Meninai, great ancestors I, great gods and goddesses of the ancient black eternal race. Give thanks and majesty.
Yes, I greetings in the wonderful name of His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie and Empress Menin. I too want to say thanks to Van, giving I the opportunity to speak to the people on a very important topic, cannabis, marijuana, ganja, which seem to have taken over the airways presently. I stand as a representation of the people, the Rastafari people, and by extension the whole black nation. And we basically want to give you an idea as to the kind of works that we've been doing leading up to all of this, you know, the kind of agitation the Rastafari community was engaged in. We want to express our dissatisfaction with the present amendments to the Drug Act and, of course, the first reading of the cannabis bill, which Rastafari claim is totally unsatisfactory. And so tonight we'll take the opportunity to, you know, expound on a couple of the amendments and the proposals that our government want to put on the people at this point in time. But I say give thanks for the opportunity, Brother Stanley, and we'll be happy to engage.
Well, go right ahead.
As I mentioned to you, we come from the Rastafari community. I'm the chair of what we call the ORU, the Organization of Rastafari in Unity, which is a national organization comprised of Rassis from St. Kitts and Nevis, both individuals and groups, organizations, mansions, if you want to call them that. And over the years, we have, as Rastafari has been using the herb, cannabis, in all its form, in its entirety, holistically, for our medicine, for our food, our sacrament, and, you know, just for our recreation. And we would have recognized that over the years, Rastafari has been ridiculed, we have been violated, we have been persecuted, simply for acknowledging and using that God-given natural herb. We see today a shift in the minds of what we call Babylon. We see them trying to make as much money as they can over the same herb for which they persecuted I&I. And so I&I declaring that any adjustments to the legal status or any adjustments to the industry and the economic benefits of cannabis, marijuana in this country must include Rastafari and the voice of Rastafari. And we are saying presently that is not the case. Over the past, we have done many things. We have organized ourselves into, as it is now, a national organization to attack tasks like these. We would have gone around the community sensitizing the general public of the goodness of the herb, the advantages of the herb. We would have sat and discussed and explained. We had panel discussions around St. Kitts and around Nevis. We would have engaged with the local commission on marijuana. We attended every single consultation they had. We advised them, we educated them, we shared research material with them. We would have agitated from the Attorney General, the Prime Minister, the Premier, the High Command, you name it, we would have spoken to over the past years. We have been marching in the streets of St. Kitts Nevis every year for the first 5 years, and now for the past 4 years it's been twice, once in Nevis and one in St. Kitts, annually. And so our agitation and our interest in this herb is without question. Our history of using the herb is without question. And so we are saying to the authorities, you need to recognize I&I. We would have written to the Attorney General in 2015, I think, saying to him, your drug act is in a violation to the rights of Rastafari. Up until today, he has not responded. We kept calling, but we would have met with him over the past couple months and stated our case. And as it is right now, we saw the commission was put in place, went around the island, did the necessary consultations. The government came and made a statement saying that they're going forward with a medical cannabis industry, and they would not entertain the use of cannabis for religious or recreational use. And that in itself is unfortunate. It was quite unfortunate, because even though they're claiming that's what the commission recommended, from the surveys within the commission's report, we would have seen the majority of people in St. Kitts Nevis wanted marijuana, cannabis, to be freed up, whether decriminalized or legalized for medicinal use. Medicinal was about 85%. For recreational use, about 67%. And for religious use, about 65%. So I really don't understand how you could send out a commission to do a survey where the people tell you what they want, and then in the end, you now get the commission to tell you what they recommend. I think this is hypocritical. I think this is going totally against what a consultation is really supposed to be about. But anyway, the government went forward and made a proposition, and we wrote to them as Rasta telling them, hey, no way, that is unsatisfactory. In the meantime, we had a court matter pending, and it's Brother Sankofa and the fight and the support of all the other Rastas, especially the organization of Rastafari in Unity. We forced the government to make changes. So no changes were made because they like Rasta. Because we're still fighting to get even a mouthpiece. The government came out, made a statement. It was because Brother Sankofa took them to court and the judge ruled in favor of Rastafari. The judge said to the government, your drug act is in violation to the Rastafari brethren and sisters, their right to freedom of conscience, the right to use the herb as a sacrament. So all that the government has been doing over the past years, brethren and sisters, was wrong. It was a violation to I&I rights. And I&I must be compensated for that. There's no question about it. Even after the judge would have said to them, hey, go back. And you know, another thing that was said in the court was that the drug act was also a violation to one's personal freedom, to your right of privacy. That means anybody in St. Kitts Nevis had a right to use marijuana in the confines of their home, in the privacy of their home, and police had no call to come in there and knock down your door and take it up a spliff. All the spliff that we don't get locked up for was wrong. And so the judge said to them, go back and fix your drug act. Make your drug act friendly to the Rasta man. Make your drug act in such a way that it does not infringe on our right to use our herb for our religious practice. Also, fix your drug act so it doesn't infringe on the rights of a person to use marijuana within the confines of their home. And so, really and truly, all along, our Constitution was clear. It gave us the right as Rastafari to use our herb as sacrament in our worship, in our worship places and spaces. It gave you, the general public, the right to use your herb in the privacy of your home. But we were denied that. And up until now, we are still fighting. We are still fighting with the government. They came out and they made an amendment. Still an amendment with fines. All kind of ridiculous fines. Limiting us to 15 grams and 5 plants. Saying to us, you need permission. You have to be fenced. And what we are saying is, the Constitution says we should be able to enjoy our freedom of conscience without hindrance. And all your fines and regulations are hindrances to I and I. And I want to touch on one or two things in the proposed cannabis bill, because what they would have done was to amend the Drug Act to, as it is, give us the right now to use our herb in the confines of our home. And as a Rastafari, you can use it in your gathering spaces and even in your events. And I will let Rasaya speak about the wonderful rally we had in St. Kitts. And so we would have gotten that much from the act. They're saying 5 trees. If you're caught with 6, that extra tree can land you a couple $1,000s. We say that is unfair. What we are trying to do now is to bring about some kind of, some kind of ease in terms of the way we treat the herb. You cannot come back and still want to instill these draconian laws. Another example, 5 trees might be good enough for a man who, 15 grams might be good enough for a man or woman who smoke a joint. What about some of us who use the chalice? What about the person who doesn't smoke at all and wants to cook it, wants to make oil from it? It takes about a pound of ganja to give you 4-6 ounces of oil. And so these limitations and amount that the government went and put in the herb and said that is what they're giving to Rasta is again a disrespect. Because when you were sent out to make your amendments, you were supposed to consult with the Rastafari. You know nothing about how we operate. How can you determine how much herb we're supposed to use? And so we are at this crossroad now where the government has made that amendment, but they are now having revisions to the cannabis bill, which they first brought out. They had the first reading already. And that bill contains all the little nitty-gritties, as we call it. They're talking about medicinal marijuana. For you, the general public, medicinal marijuana may mean, hey, okay, you're feeling sick, you go to a practitioner, a medical practitioner, they say that you're sick, they prescribe you some marijuana, you go to the dispensary, you get your pills or whatever. You take it when the prescription finished, that's it. We're saying medical marijuana for Rastafari is totally different. Our concept of health is totally different. You wait until you get sick and then go and get medicine to cure you. I practice preventative medicine, which simply means we prevent ourselves from becoming sick. So we need our ganja in the morning, we need it at lunch, we need it at dinner time to keep our body in that state of well-being so that we do not become sick. The government is also saying that they're not giving Rastafari the opportunity to make money off the herb. They're saying you can grow your herb for sacrament, but you can't sell it. Now, what kind of craziness is this? We have used the herb as a main economic source for ages. The churches make money from their sacrament. None of them make wine, none of them make bread. So they have to buy. So there's an industry surrounding the sacrament of the other churches. Then if you're recognizing us and giving us our rights, you have to respect I sacrament as well. And so it means that we should be able to have economics surrounding our sacrament. If my brother in Sinkit doesn't have sacrament today, we should be able to trade some sacrament from Nevis to him. That should be our right. And as a matter of fact, another thing when it comes to the whole churchical aspect, the government is also saying that we cannot use marijuana around our children. And we are saying that should be the right of the parent. But as a churchical order, Rastafari, when we have our churchical gatherings, our herb is part of our gathering. What you're saying, we cannot have our children amongst us? The church is out there, Catholic, Anglican, whoever, not knocking them in particular. But as early as 12 years old, they are allowed to give their children sacrament, communion. So how you want Rastafari to wait until 18 to give their children communion? That again is showing some level of discrimination. How you're giving one church a certain age and want to give another church a certain age. So there are a lot of things, Babylon, that we have to sit down and discuss, because you are not operating in the interest of Rastafari. I want to pause. I want to give Ras Aya a chance to come in, because there are a few other areas that we want to touch on where the government would have erred in terms of their recommendations to us. We are saying to them, you want to limit us to 5 plants. Suppose 2 months' time, 4 of those plants are male trees. They're no good for smoking. They're no good for oil and all that. They may be good for just making tea. And so we're saying your limitation, you know, it does not make sense. Yes, use in public, I can share a part with that. But I am saying you allow people to smoke cigarette and drink alcohol in public. Fine, you don't want us walking down the street with our ganja in our hand, but then when I come into town and I go to lunch, you must have a designated space in town that I can go and smoke my weed then, that I can go and have my sacrament. So I am not walking up and down the street, because there are designated places where people can go and have a cigarette or go and have a glass of wine. And so we're saying, you know, you would have tried, but I think because it was not from the love of the Rasta man, your attempt would have fallen short. And we're asking the government to seriously go back to the giant boards. But I must give credit, though, in that one of the committees that they have in the implementation of the regulations and so on, one of that committee is comprised of 3 Rastafari brethren. And we play an integral part in the discussion. The question is, how much would Babylon listen to Rastafari? Brother Aya?
Well, we'll take a break, and then when we come back, we'll bring in Brother Aya.
Highly.
Sugar City St. Kitts. Keep it sweet. Keep listening to Vaughn.
Builder's Paradise is offering a large variety of floor and wall tiles at very competitive prices. We've got over 2 million pieces in stock, lots of different styles to choose from. Whether you're renovating or tiling a new house, Builder's Paradise has what you need. Oh, and remember, we are open all day Saturday to serve you better. Call them today at 466-4938.
Yes, we are back, and we must remind all ardent listeners that this evening our great host Webo, Everett Webo Herbert, is somewhere in Reykjavik, Iceland, and therefore I'm in the hot seat. And our first segment involved Mr. Byron, who obviously will be having a seminar tomorrow. But our second segment is with Ras Iroy, who made his presentation for the past, say, 29 minutes. And the Rastafari organization, they're here with us to expound on what their rights and privileges are within the constitution of the St. Kitts Nevis, and ultimately the use of the herb. So with him is his brethren, Ras Aya, and we will hear from him now. Ras Aya.
Give thanks. You say your name is again?
Stanley.
Give thanks. Tina, I've just been in the first time of this studio, so have my apology and good give thanks again, Mr. Stanley, for being in the host of Van Radio for Mr. Weber, so blessed love and honor. But basically, before I go further, I would just like to show out a little sympathy for our national, I would call him an icon in the music industry and the music art form, Honorable Kenwick Georges, and he had passed away, so knowing that he was the one who formulated the national anthem for St. Kitts and Nevis when they get issued into independence, we like to shout our love and heart to the families that were mourning of the loss of their loved one, and even other people who are going through this travel of this loss of their loved one. So we guide and protect them in the love of the Almighty and the ancestors. But let me go forward in the strength that we are really looking at this emphasis that consider I and I as a people to be using cannabis, ganja, whatever the format they want to formulate the name of it, but we know basically it's a natural plant and it's come forward from the Almighty himself, the divine creator. And one of the things Brother Ira emphasized on is based on the aspect of the ruling, and we find the concept of how the ruling had outlined in our way as a victory against the ways of how Babylon have the format of laws or the treaties that they consider out there in the international arena. We realized they were violating a long time. And it take 2019 for a virgin of Ras Sankofa Maccabee to take a stand and have a victory against the outline of our constitution are being violated towards I and I as Rastafari, as the judge tell them clearly. That act is conveyed against the human rights of I and I as Rastafari, and it cannot be perpetuated no more. You need to go and fix that kind of indulgence that you consider as an act, because Rastafari have a right, and his ways and the service that they outline have uses with ganja being a sacrament. So you cannot hinder your I as being used in ganja. But I would like to outline to the people of Nevis and even St. Kitts and the wider world, I was a part of that National Cannabis Commission that was set up since in 2017. We did a year work of consultation and the prevalence of survey and even the instrument of arrangement that was indicated to guide us as a commission to take this farmer clearly to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. Because when the CARICOM Commission had come into our shores to have dialogue with our people, much people did turn out, but at least they did get an audience from various sections of the public. So we're saying, now we have a national commission that outlined to go forward to indicate the jive that it was formulated from the CARICOM Commission to outline the uses of ganja or herb going forward in our region. And we realize with Virgin IOI outlining that the commission have bring to the floor its report to the administration, and seeing that the administration get the report and only went into Parliament and indicate about recommendation So there is when it showed that the parliament or the cabinet, the administration was trying to not do the honorable thing. And when I say not do the honorable thing, I'm talking about the full format of the report. If you're doing something, you have to start it from the beginning, not from the middle or to the end. That means you're not going right. So I'm saying here, up to now, I would like to ask you, Stanley, do you have a copy of the report?
No, I didn't get a copy of the report.
So you see, you're a citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis, and you don't have a copy of the report. That's an embarrassment. And since in January the 10th of this year, the report was issued to the administration. So seeing that you're a member of a radio host sitting and a citizen of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, and even a citizen of Nevis, you should be a part of they say it's online, so if you have access to internet, you can use it online, but we're saying ain't everybody going to have access to internet. So let it be out loud, out to the people who don't have access to internet, so they could really have the understanding of what the report really was indicated to the administration. But going forward, we like to say, the judgment was state that when you are going to do changes, meaning the administration, and who representing the administration were the Attorney General and the legal luminaries them in his chamber towards the case that was handed out and the judgment time. Now, if the judge tell you all must have further consultation with I as Rastafari when you are making these changes, that to show you that you all need to have been safely guided by I thoughts and deeds, not meaning that we're trying to make anything forced, but being properly pursued in a way that people can be satisfied when it comes to using the herb. Now, looking at these things, we didn't see the consultation come the way how it's supposed to. You know, when we get that consultation, just 3 months after the Prime Minister went in May the 9th, to indicate of a cannabis bill industry. You hear me just say? 3 months after. So that just to show you that they know looking guideline to show how we must formulate the changes in the Drug Act, which we don't say we don't use drug. But the judge had to show them you cannot continue having this act against Rastafari and the uses of herb. It's a total violation. Well, the AG went up and pumped up and state that they have that treaty since in 1986. Remember, he just recently in the last parliament sitting. So if you're claiming to it that since 1986 that treaty was signed on to imply against I when it comes to the use of cannabis as a drug, then the judge tell you, no, the treaty can't come in here and override the Constitution, which is the sovereign law of the land. And see now we have seen where the AG and the administration have turned a blind eye and disregard the request of the judge. Saying in Parliament, the judge cannot tell the Parliament what to do or tell the administration what to do. Well, we will say, the truth will prevail. And we don't come here to have no danger, no harm to our people. But we must have further dialogue to bring our people to the full awareness of ganja use. We cannot continue watching our people like we don't have no way of penetrating methods and ways to build and develop our people properly in the uses of herb. I use in herb since I was 14 years. I done in my 40s, and me never go to a doctor to ask him to have a medical checkup. Me and me one doctor with the guidance of the Almighty. So that's why we say it. We have lived it, we experience it. We know what the aspect of what we are using when it comes to herb. The Benin outline, you cannot come and label these kind of initiative and you have good dialogue with the people who know about the use of it. And ain't just at the aspect of us as a Rasta, but there are other people besides of Rastafari who have the intake of using herb too. And you are just looking at it from a smoking point of view, where there is different avenues we can tap in. Because Mr. Stanley, he had a guest earlier, and he was talking about trading. And that's what the major topic of his implying towards of ways and means that we can create money around us in market, trading market. So if we're really serious about aligning ourselves in the market, we have to be on board. and stop run because they call America and England and them European countries trying to tell us as a developing country, as they say, that we must hold back for them to pursue further. But that's a laugh in our face. And I won't stand by and watch our people being suffering for another developing country to be providing the prosperity of us. That is not right. Our equal share must be balanced. And we ain't looking at it from an individual standpoint. We say we must be collective as a country and a region. Let me say it again. We must be collective as a country and a region, meaning the Caribbean region, because we cannot go individual. That is how they want us to approach them, so they can dominate our market easy. So we are here to put the emphasis properly to our people, so we can have safe guidance to the youth and the benefit and the factors that Hub can give us as a people. Give thanks.
Very well. Well, you mentioned that it's been legalized to the point. Has the organization of Rastafari Union applied for a business license for them to expand and grow the herb just like everybody else, and ultimately get into the marketplace, get their profit, do their trading, and make themselves wealthy like everybody else?
They don't want to use the word wealthy, we say sustainable.
Well, okay. All right.
Yeah, it's a good question, Stanley. As I say, when the government came out first, in the first proposal to the bill, there really was no allowance for I&I when it comes to the industry. However, they were indicating clearly that they're going to be issuing licenses and so on. So it would seem from that end that we would have to be able to raise the funds and compete with the international companies out there to get in the business. But one of the things that Rastafari would have done, because you see the smoking of the herb give I a lot of insight, you know. We would have drafted a submission paper to the Cannabis Committee, and this was all the way in 2018, November. And one of the things we said to them was, for the years of treatment that we would have gotten, the government first need to apologize to Rastafari. Similarly to the action of Gaston Brown in Antigua. Need to apologize to I&I. We also suggesting some reparatory justice. We are saying for all the years of torment, we need 10% of your income from license and taxes and so on.
Revenue on.
All your revenue. We need 10% of that directly put into the Rastafari community, so we can build our schools just like everybody else. We can build our churches like everybody else. We can have nice homes and drive nice cars, and our children can be properly educated just like everybody else. Because of your oppression, you would have prevented I&I from doing that. We're also asking for free license to operate. You have to give Rastafari a free license to operate. And within that license, because they're claiming they want to give limited license, we are saying all them brethren around our brethren and sisters around St. Kitts Nevis who are accustomed to grow herb should have the right to continue to grow herb. It may mean that they will be cultivating under one big umbrella license. However we work it out, they should not be denied the right to benefit from that herb. We also saying no taxation for our businesses. Government needs to create a space with the necessary infrastructure so Rasta can operate dispensaries and so on, that we can make our oils and market them. You need to give us an advantage. You need to give us incentives so that we can have a rightful place in the market, because it is because of you that we are not able to be in that market. And what we're saying now, how hypocritical. For now, the government want to be the big jug pushers, as they call it, selling all the ganja. A Rasta ain't supposed to get any. So, Brother Stanley, we have asked for the license free. We have stated it in our position paper. When we have met with everybody that we spoke to, we have stated that clearly. We are stating it on the airwaves here again tonight. That we're not just talking about a spliff. We're talking about billions of dollars that could be brought into this country. We do not have to be taxing our people, putting on $3 on water and dredging our people. We're talking about an industry that has turned economies out there from marginal or from deficit into surpluses. Watch the man on the street from wiping car glass to own a business and own an apartment. This is what this industry is doing to people out there. We keep boasting of how we first in everything. Then where's the guts? Where's the balls? This is the time when we're supposed to show the world. We have Ross University. We have institutions in this country where we can study the herb, just like they're doing in Israel and America. Because one of the myths that they have is that THC is the part of the herb that gets you high. And so for their medicine, they only want the CBD, the medicinal. But we have provided to the Cannabis Commission documentary, scientific research that shows that both CBD and THC work hand in hand. They actually have an effect on each other, a balancing effect. And so what is wrong if you use a little THC when you're getting better? Ask any of those persons who are taking chemotherapy and all that, and with arthritis, if they wouldn't like to feel a little nice or a little high, as you call it, when they're taking the medicine. I'm sure they'll say yes. So there's really nothing wrong with it. You know, so there's so much. There's so much that the Rastafari community has to contribute to this whole debate, because we look at things outside of the box.
Yes.
Does the reluctance to grant you that set-aside program prevent you from taking the initiative and going forward in terms of tapping into your own resources and still fight the war with reference to set-aside program, tax exemption, and all that? There are people who sometimes operate on two tracks. I'm waiting for this one to come to fruition, but in the meantime, I'm going forward on another track, just in case that this is kept in abeyance or the deliberate delay on their part. I don't want to be left out of the bonanza.
You see what we did, Brother Stanley? We took the government to court.
Well, the wheel of justice grinds very slowly.
We're not waiting on them. They come, they didn't make any allowance for us, and we forced them to do that. We have people out there calling us. There are a lot of serious Rastafari brethren out there who has a lot of money that's been investing in even nearby Antigua. So the Rastafari community here, we've been getting the calls and we've been approached and so on. But we want to make sure that, you know, we are well looked after, that we do not come out, that they don't take this thing and make it another plantation day where we go out and work and produce, give you all the raw materials, and then you turn it over and make billions while we could hardly get a decent paycheck. So those days are done, and if we allow our government to continue the way they're going, that is exactly the way they're going to force us back into those days. And we see what they can do with the banana and all that. We see how they can manipulate the market. We are saying we are strong enough as a people, and that is why we have taken that CARICOM approach. The Caribbean Rastafari Organization, we're actually meeting in Grenada in September. And this is one of the things that we are focusing on, in that we were forcing our governments to approach this thing as a CARICOM body, as opposed to individually. Because then they would be able to stand up against when people like America start to push up their chests about banking and all these kind of things. Because there are alternatives out there. Who is America? America has no authority to talk to us about bad money and blood money and dirty money. I mean, these people have no authority. They're the worst culprits. And we are saying it's about time we wean ourselves off the European breast and stand up.
Well, they still have a certain measure of control with reference to their currency and block you from access to the use of their currencies, whether it is the pound sterling, the euro, or the US dollar, as the case might be, in terms of cross-border transactions. So on the one hand, even though you want to go another way, you still have to understand that they can. But there is leverage in terms of unity. There is strength
Yes.
in terms of the coming
Collaboration,
together.
Yes.
And as a result, the CARICOM approach is the right approach. When would that come into fruition?
Great.
You say Rastafari has got plenty of money. I mean, I was telling somebody just the other day. No, one of my sons, who's a brilliant fellow, has double master's degrees, and eventually one day his professor told him, "Boy, do you know what you look like?" And he cut his hair.
Yeah,
But yeah, but I was told that when they went to Jamaica to meet the medical director of Jamaica many years ago, they were very surprised when the medical director was a Rasta man. So it has come around to the degree where it is acceptable with reference to the hairstyle. Well, even one of my sons right now, I mean, I don't like the idea, but because I just think that he can do better. But it's a hairstyle, it's a lifestyle, and it is now recognized that they are just as important in society as everybody else. So I'm saying to you, know that there is money in the game. Fight your battles with Ras Sankofa and implement your strategy going forward to get to fruition a legal system where you begin to plant, nurture, reap, set into your laboratories products, and to get it onto the market, local, regional, and international. Because the big players are not waiting on anybody. They, in fact, sometimes bend the rules or throw the rules out, go forward, and then let the rules challenge them after they are already in place. So I would advise you, as organization of Rastafarian Union, to get your people who got a certain amount of economic clout to put in place a structure that while the structure is in place, you can still fight your legal battles. Good evening, you're on Let's Talk.
Good evening.
Good evening, you're on Let's Talk.
Yes, Mr. Stanley.
Yes, good evening,
night.
you're on Let's Talk, please.
Yes, good night, Mr. Stanley.
Good night.
I don't want to hear the brother IY and the brethren them and the show.
Good night.
Good night. Blessed love. Aye.
Yes. Yes, this is Jam Down here speaking.
Yes. Aye.
Mr. Stanley,
I'm listening.
you listen to St. Vincent cannabis rollout, where they roll out to the people in the country, especially the Rastas in St. Vincent. We all got to give the thing a chance to work.
It's working.
We have to give it a chance to work,
It's working.
you know. And where we got a man who sit down for 20 years and make some serious allegations about Rastaman. This thing, he as a medical doctor, he will never sit down and allow this thing to legalize. But right now, trying to go on the back of Rasta and come into the picture with a white man and control marijuana business. It's not, as I saying to the brethren, them, it's not going to work in this country, you know. is not going to work in St. Kitts Nevis. Rastaman in St. Kitts get too much knocked out for this thing.
Yes, aye.
And we ain't going to eat up, you know, Mr. Stanley. I don't know if none of the brethren them there with you in the studio knows about federal maple and federal palm.
Well, they would have read the history. I mean, we know about the maple and palm.
No. You see, around here, Mr. Stanley, we forget things too quick. We don't remember things. A Dominica man named Paul Southwell said it years ago. Easy to mislead and forget. So I say that to say this, Mr. Stanley. We have a lot of young Rastaman coming through. We must know the history and don't go from the history.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yes, brethren.
This is Rasaya speaking to your jam now.
I know that.
So let me say this here. Blessed night to the eye and respect to what the eye say. Now
Yes.
you just outline about 2 vessels that used to utilize in the shores of Singis, right?
Yes. Where they used to come
Caribbean.
to when we ain't had the knowledge of going this thing.
Well,
And we used to depend on them
Okay.
for this thing.
And-
Because we used to grow bush in the early years.
Okay, give thanks.
But
Okay.
now the brethren them understand the craft and bringing real thing to the Federation. We have to give them a leeway. And as the brethren say, whether he's right, he's right. The brethren is so right. Because we supposed to drive in big car, sending the children them to private school like any one of them in Charlestown and Bastille. So let me hear what you're saying, Ira.
Yeah, you were saying to say, at those times, there was sufferation after of the
Yeah,
time
man.
you have to go through to get the type of herb that used to come through those vessels.
No, Ira, we was brutalized. You hear culture sing a song, see, fitting to what's going on. And when I hear this boy, Denzel Douglas, once saying that he come in talking about, he got 2 face. We ain't playing it no cut cross, you know, and he was up, you know, that, you know. We ain't playing it no cut cross. I really like Brother Zambo to be in the land that they live in, to see what's going on here with us.
We give thanks for this strength and the courage that you just... you see?
Stanley, you know better, you know. Let me give this thing a chance to work. Let me see what the fellas them on Church Street saying, and let me move forward.
Yes, aye.
Brother Iwai, have a good night.
Blessed
Give
love,
thanks,
give
Aya.
thanks.
Bless up.
Thanks for the call.
Sound words, man.
Yes. The first part of our seminar is free, so please attend the seminar tomorrow of Mr. Byron at the Anglican Hall in Charlestown. Good evening, caller. You're on Let's Talk.
Good evening, Mr. Stanley.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Byron had a very, very good show. I wish we could have asked some questions, but I can ask you. Now, concerning divisions on the stock market, would it have to be a citizen to be on the stock market?
The stock market in United States? No. There are provisions that are available where you can be categorized as a foreign investor.
Right, because I remember they had the problem in Antigua, you know, concerning the casino online.
Is this Mr. Sadio?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes. No, you can be categorized as a foreign investor, and what happens is that once the trade is concluded, the taxes are taken out of the proceeds, and then the money goes back into your account as the case might be. So Uncle Sam doesn't really lose anything. So all people, once they understand how to trade and follow the guidelines to avoid the pitfalls, they can become a trader on the market, as the case might be, whether it is stocks, bonds, other commodities, and even in currencies. they can in fact get the accounts opened and trade like anybody else from a global point of view.
Okay, all right. And one other thing, I just want to remind everyone here that we have in the Nevis dance on Saturday night, that the Nevisians in America at the FUMC Hall at 2543 Marion Avenue in the Bronx. And we're going to have Sister C with us as the DJ. And also we have the band here from Detroit. So we need everyone to come out and celebrate the Labor Day weekend with us. Okay, that's the band, The Expression from Detroit, and with Nevisians who are involved in that band. Donation is $30. Yes, Stanley.
Well, the listeners have heard you, Minister Stadio. They have heard you.
Yes, okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Is there another call? Okay, Rasa Iroy, continue. Oh, well, we've got just a short moment, and maybe we should take a quick station identification, station break, and then we will get a wrap-up.
From Queen City, Nevis, this is the powerhouse of the Eastern Caribbean, Vaughn Radio.
Yes, we are back. But we will give Ras Iroy and Ras Iyer an opportunity to, with their last comments and the last push, to see if they can galvanize themselves into that business plan to get the herb commercialized and make some money.
You know, strange enough, Brother Stanley, our first attempt to this whole thing is free up the herb. We say it's a plant, just free it up, leave it alone, no license, no nothing. Just like the lettuce and tomato, and then a business would develop around it just like everything else. That is really our initial plea. But we realize where the government is going, and we are saying you cannot leave Rastafari out of this. We are an integral part of this whole debate. As a matter of fact, you jumped on board on our wagon because we were going on with this thing for years. And we will continue agitate for the full legalization of the herb. And I know this is time when they call it election time, and so there are many of us as Rastafari who really don't trust politicians, and so we really don't vote for them. But there's some of us who do vote. And I am sending out a warning, I don't know, maybe a threat if you want to call it that, to you politicians out there. We've been running with a slogan, no ganja, no vote. And we're saying you need to start to look at I&I, whether it is 10 registered or 5 registered. Because you know what? It only takes 1 vote for you to lose or 1 vote for you to win. Rastafari say, hey, make some way out for I&I in this whole talk of the herb. Give I&I equal rights and justice. One perfect love.
Okay, Ras Iyer.
Give thanks, Mr. Stanley, again for the invitation that Vaughn Radio have indicated to I&I, the Rastafari community. And we thanks a lot for the people who listen. Well, you didn't get a chance to dialogue with us how we like it, but basically what we're saying is here is that it's time now we really make our people analyze on the consideration and how we must go forward as a developing nation and a developing region to indicate on this industry and even concentrate on the way forward to uphold our principle and integrity and make sure our people get a benefit and the way forward for the uses of ganja. So we say, save I and I by thy name, judge I and I by thy sin. Hear and I pure Father, give ears to the words of thy mouth. Frustrating the wind up against I and I, on the press of seek after I and life. They are not set Haile Selassie before them. Behold, Haile Selassie, the helper, Haile Selassie, thou my hope on and thy life. He shall reward evil unto my enemies, and cut them off in thy truth. I will freely sacrifice unto Haile Selassie, and praise thy name, for it is good. For he delivered me to all my troubles, and my eyes have seen his desire upon my enemies. Hail I, Selassie,
Okay.
King Rastafari. Give thanks.
All right. Well, thanks for your presence, and we thank for the calls that came in, and also, please, this show repeats tomorrow, beginning at 10, and the Honorable Mark Brantley on the Mark program starts tomorrow evening at 8. Thanks for listening, and have a pleasant night.
The views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and